Hello and welcome to today's Dementia Awareness session for businesses. I'm Richard Higgs from Harold Stevens and this is Tony Hall from the Bristol Dementia Action Alliance. Harold Stevens is a local later life financial planning specialist based right here in West Grantrim on the High Street. We offer an old-fashioned face-to-face level of service, predominantly dealing with clients in later life. We deal with inheritance tax planning, pensions, investments, later life care cost planning, probate, wills, lasting power of attorney. We've been getting heavily involved with the local community with regard to later life. The further we get deeper into that rabbit hole, we are meeting more and more passionate and individuals and organisations, and really our aim is to make this the very best later life community maybe in the UK. And in dealing with later life clients, we really wanted to up our level in terms of the service that we offer, and then who better to bring into the office than Tony Hall of the Bristol Dementia Action Alliance to train the team on how to deal with clients living with dementia and their families. And so Tony came in and delivered a really passionate and powerful session for us in the office for the whole team. And it really helped us deal with families who are vulnerable, who have dementia in the family, and it really helped us improve our level of service and awareness for people in those circumstances. So we felt really it would be a great idea to record a session, a dementia awareness session, so we could get that information, that awareness out to the rest of the businesses in Bristol to kind of raise awareness and service in that area. So really pleased and welcome to have Tony here today to do that and record that session for us. Tony, could you just introduce yourself for a moment and give us some background behind your journey and how the Bristol Dementia Action Alliance came to be?
Yeah, okay. Well, I wear two hats. First of all, I'm a carer. My wife Barbara had symptoms of frontal temporal dementia since 1999. Sadly, she died last April, so I'm really an ex-carer now. But the passion's still there, because my second hat that I wear is for Bristol Dementia Action Alliance, which is a bit of a mouthful, but we only chose the word Bristol because we're a Bristol group allied to similar groups all over the country. We focus on dementia and we're all about action. We do stuff. So our aim as a charity, and we are a registered charity now, we celebrate our 10th birthday later on this year, but our aim is to make Bristol the dementia-friendly city of the UK. Well, that's all very grand, you might say. What do you mean by that? What I mean by that is that we want people with dementia, whether they live here, work here, visit here, come here on a holiday, or anything like that, we want them to be treated with common courtesy and respect, which is nothing unusual because that's what we all expect. We all want to be treated like human beings. So that's what our aim is, and we do that we use two tools. We use Dementia Friends, that you may have heard about, or we use the Purple Angel campaign, which is very similar. And we go out to businesses like yourself in the High Street. We go to schools, children's groups, family groups, clubs, community groups, faith groups, basically anybody who wants to engage, and we tell them what dementia is, how to identify its symptoms, and more importantly how to support and manage someone once you've identified that they've got dementia. So that's who we are, and that's what we're trying to do.
So Tony, there'll often be a point of inquiry, so a person living with dementia or their carer will get in touch with us at the office and we'll have that initial phone call or contact in order to prepare for a potential meeting with that person and family. What kind of information do you think that we need to ascertain from that first point of contact?
Well, the initial inquiry is really an information gathering session for your initial meeting. And the success of all meetings depends on good preparation, doesn't it? So when you get the initial inquiry, find out exactly what the inquiry is about, what do they want advice on from yourself, who will be coming to the meeting. If it's someone with dementia and a family member, like their carer, you can say, you could ask first of all, are there any health issues? If they say there's one of the partners has got dementia, how long have they had that dementia? Have they had a diagnosis? How far has it progressed? Because dementia is a progressive illness. In Barbara's case, it lasted 20 years. And over that period, she gradually got worse. So you can ask the inquirer at what stage is this person with dementia at? Can they still communicate effectively? Have they got capacity? Do they understand what's going on? How confused are they? Are they confused? So you can find a lot out just by the initial inquiry. Another thing you could also find out is how mobile are they? You know, have they got a walking stick? Have they got a push-along? Have they got a wheelchair? And is your premises suitable to have, in the case of a wheelchair, preferably it's best to have it on the ground floor, isn't it? Because you haven't got stairs. If you've got a lift, that's fine. But you know, lots of small firms haven't got those facilities. So you have to think about how we cope with the people coming in to see us for advice.
And I guess these things enable us to adjust and prepare for that meeting so we know or we're familiar with what that person's going through.
Absolutely.
Okay. In the office here we've developed what's called a wellbeing checklist. So at every point of contact that a member of the public has with the office, regardless of the staff member, we aim to develop an understanding of how vulnerable a client or person might be. In terms of dementia, what kind of symptoms or signs can we look out for to see whether that's a potential issue for that person?
Right, well, when the person comes in, although you may have been told at the initial inquiry that they've got dementia, when they come into your office, they haven't got it tattooed on their forehead, I've got dementia. So when two people come in, which one of them's got the dementia? So you have to assess the situation, right, okay, this one's talking to me quite straightforward, probably they're the carer. And the other one has the dementia. So that's one of the first things you need to do. In actual fact, we produced what we call a jogger. And we produced this for Bristol Airport years ago, but it can apply to any customer-facing firm. And on the front, it's a double-sided A4 sheet, which we get them to laminate. And on the front, it's got what to look for. And on the back, it's what you can do about your building to make your building dementia-friendly. So here it is. It's a double-sided A4 sheet of paper. And if I haven't sent you one already, I'll send you one.
That's great. And any businesses that are watching this, you can send that to them. That's fantastic.
Whenever we do an awareness session, I always send them one of these.
Oh, okay, brilliant. Great. When the person living with dementia comes into the office with their carer or their attorney or a loved one, when we're making conversation with them, it'll often be the carer we're having the conversation with, and the person living with dementia will remain quite quiet. Is there any kind of icebreakers or anything that you would advise that we can kind of get the person living with dementia talking or get them involved with the conversation?
Yeah. I mean, basically you welcome them just like you'd welcome anybody else. You have two people come in, you say, hello, how are you? Are you enjoying the day? Is it sunny still out, or is it raining? Have you had a good day? Are you enjoying your day? And then you can move on to things like, what did you do as a job then? Have you always worked in Bristol or wherever it is you're situated? Did you have any hobbies? Just normal icebreakers that you'd use with anybody, but you can ask the carer and the person living with dementia. That way they're included.
Okay. Do you have any kind of tips to get the person living with dementia involved in the conversation? Is there anything that you would kind of advise us to say?
Well, when you speak to the person living with dementia, it depends at what stage they are in their condition. So first of all, if you're going to speak to them, make eye contact. That's the most important, because then they realise you're talking to them. Then say what you're going to say, but say it slowly in short, simple sentences. When you ask the question, they may take 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds to respond, but give them time. In other words, be patient. And then if they don't answer the question, rephrase it and ask it again. But rephrase it, because otherwise you think they're silly because they didn't answer the question in the first place. But if you rephrase it, then you're clarifying what you're asking. If they don't answer for a second time, then rephrase it and ask the carer and say, what do you think, if you like, basically. So that's a way of including the person with dementia in the conversation, and they feel part of the meeting rather than someone who's an add-on.
Okay. Is there anything to specifically avoid, any words not to say when he's talking to that person with dementia?
Yeah, whatever you do, don't mention dementia, Alzheimer's or memory problems, because they are trigger words.
Okay.
And someone with dementia, they know they've got dementia. Very often they're in denial because dementia has got a stigma and an embarrassment associated with it. And if you mention those words, the hairs on the back of their head will stick up and you might get a reaction that you don't really want.
Okay.
Because it could lead to an argument and you don't want to get involved in an argument.
Yeah. We kind of know what not to say when talking to someone living with dementia. But often clients will come into the office because one of that person has been diagnosed with dementia. So how do we kind of sensitively deal with that issue? Do we address it full on or do we kind of let the person talk about it? Or how do you think we can sensitively discuss the issue of the person having dementia?
It's a matter of judgment, really. I mean, sometimes when they come in and they want to see you for advice, the carer generally will say, well, my partner, my wife, my husband, or my mum, or whatever, they have an issue with this. They might mention the word memory problems, and if they don't get a reaction from the person with dementia, that's fine, carry on. It's not easy. In no way am I saying what we're doing today is easy. We learn as we go, and if we make a mistake, we learn, right, we won't do that again. And one thing I would say to you is share your successes and your mistakes with your team. I mean, you've got about 6 people here, so share what happens and say, oh, that went really well, or no, don't avoid this. Then you're all learning together, and share it with other people, because there's no book on how to deal with people with dementia.
Science, is there?
Yeah. So we're all learning, and sometimes it's easier than other days. But as I say, there are trigger words. Try and avoid them unless they raise them first.
Okay. And when I'm talking, so I've got a client, the person living with dementia and their carer. Would I speak to them individually or do I speak to them together, or how do you...
It depends on what question you're asking. What I would really say is that you need to speak to both of them, because there's 3 of you at the meeting, and if you leave one out, generally the person living with dementia, they'll feel left out. So ask the question to them if you think they're capable of giving you an answer. Sometimes they'll give you an answer and the carer will butt in and say, no, that's not right, and they'll give you another answer. And it's your judgment call, right, which one of these is right. The person with dementia has told me this, the carer or the family member has told me something else. Which one of these is right? And that's your judgment call.
Okay. So here at Harold Stevens, as you know, we've set up the office a kind of a living room style format with sofas, and just try and keep it as relaxed as possible for those clients. Is there anything that you would want us to look out for in terms of an office layout for a family living with dementia, or any kind of tips about how to set up the office?
Basically, they're coming to an office. They know they're coming to an office. They're coming to a business type meeting. So yes, by all means, make it look relaxed, because you want them to relax. You want them to talk to you. But at the end of the day, it needs to be business-like as well, because they're at a business meeting, aren't they?
Okay.
So it's Yeah, it's comfortable, relaxed, but business-like.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Do you have any tips on how, in terms of just how to improve the office environment, in terms of signage, perhaps lighting, all those kind of things?
Yeah. Well, students at Stirling University in Scotland have done a lot of research onto this. How can we make our buildings more dementia friendly? And all this information is available on their website. Now, as I said earlier, we work with Bristol Airport and we produced our jogger. And on the back page is what you can do with your buildings. Now, you haven't got a building as big as Bristol Airport, but the principles remain the same. You know, signage. Is your signage high enough? Is it brightly enough? Have you got a contrast between the words and the background? Is the font big enough? Things like that. For example, Ashton Gate, when they built Ashton Gate Stadium, they did all the signage with an empty stadium. So when 30,000 people go there on the first match, they realised that the signage was too low, because people queuing up to go to get a pie at half time because it's got to be done. The people in front are 10 deep, and the people at the back can't see the signage because it's too low and too small, so they had to raise it and make it higher. So things like that, you have to think about how you do your signage. Also, if you say, oh, go to room 3, not here necessarily, but oh, so-and-so is in room 3, have you got like little footprints on the floor? Just say, follow the footprints, that will lead you around to room 3. You can do things like lighting. Is the lighting adequate enough for people with dementia to see their way round? Or is it too bright that it's dazzling their eyes? Which brings us on to decoration, paintwork, flooring, that sort of stuff. If it's gloss, it reflects light, doesn't it? Which can cause a problem for people with dementia. That's why it's suggested painting should be done in matte finish, because then it don't reflect. Okay. Carpets, black carpets. When we look at a black carpet, we will see a black carpet. Someone with perception problems, that is a symptom of dementia. They might see a hole. So if you try and walk them across it, they'll get really scared, because you don't walk across holes, so you're going to injure yourself. Similarly, a lot of places have busy carpets. You know, they have lines going all over the place. Well, to someone with dementia, that's a nightmare. So if you have carpeting, have it a plain colour. And then there's another thing, dementia-friendly toilets. Now, I could spend 2 hours talking about dementia-friendly toilets. I'm not going to. But if you go on the web and put dementia-friendly toilets into your internet browser, loads of websites will come up and tell you what a dementia-friendly toilet is. And it's all about contrast and making the place suitable for someone with dementia. And if it's suitable for someone with dementia, it'll be easier to find your way around for other people with disabilities. In fact, anyone who goes in there, really.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody. So for all your financial planning requirements in later life, if you have a loved one who's living with dementia, please come to Harold Stevens. You know where we are, on the High Street in West Gruntrim. We do wills, lasting power of attorney, we deal with estates, investments, cash flow planning for long-term care, and investments and pensions. And I'm sure Tony would like to invite you to go to one of his sessions.
Yeah, if anyone wants a dementia awareness session, they're free, they last an hour, they're interactive. Yeah, just give us we'll just email office@bdaa.org.uk. Tell us you want a session, preferably give us a date and a time, and we'll do the rest.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks again. Thank you.
You're welcome.